Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Flynn, and I'm here with
Scott Lang.
And we are the Band Dads. Here to bring you a podcast about something that we care very dearly about, which is music education and band.
Some of you are here because you want to learn about all things band. Some of you are here because you want to see a train wreck. And the answer is yes to both of those. We don't care why you're here. We're going to answer all the questions. We're going to say the things you're thinking. We're going to debunk all the myths.
Yep. This is the Band Dads Podcast.
The podcast by and for confused band parents.
Nice. You said the tagline. So for those of you that don't know, Scott and I reside in Satan's armpit, a.k.a.
It's nice.
A.k.a. the Valley of the Sun. We live in the
8 months
Phoenix
of the
area.
year.
Yeah.
Don't call it Satan's armpit.
No. So
there actually is a place that is named that in the Middle East.
Okay. Well, I hopefully, maybe we picked up some listeners. Maybe they can relate to it. But
It's better than Dayton.
oh, God. Poor Dayton. Dayton, you hadn't taken a shot for a while. I guess you were due. As we sit in the Scott Lang Library, it's a little warm this afternoon.
Well, if it's uncomfortable because of the temperature, that makes sense to the topic we're talking about, because that's going to be equally uncomfortable.
Now I'm scared. What do you? Yeah. Because, there's a lot of things at my age that are supposed to be routine that are kind of scary now.
We don't want to talk about your prostate on the podcast. That's what I'm saying.
Mr. David, the doctor will see you now.
Oh.
Or okay, maybe we do. I don't know.
What is this about again? Band. We talk about band and music here.
We've teased this, and I think it's time we actually just bit the bullet and talked about it. I think we need to talk about bad band directors.
Is there such a thing? Does that exist?
There is such a thing. I have seen it. Not with my current son and who's in band, because he has the best band director on the planet.
Gotcha.
But my older son had a bad band experience.
Interesting.
And so let's talk about band directors. Before we do that, we should probably introduce ourselves. I'm Scott Lang. He's
Chris Flynn.
And we're the Band Dads.
Oh, I messed that one up. Sorry.
So it's really, you just can't even get the intro right.
It's so hot. I can't even focus. All right, sorry.
Oh my God. Did you want me to fan you?
Oh, actually, yeah, that's good.
That will look awkward on video.
That's okay. We're not
so we understand that this is the minority, and it's a fraction of a minority, but I want you to expand your scope a little bit. A bad tech, a bad instructional assistant.
Gotcha.
And when you widen that scope, because the problem's just the same and the impact's just the same.
Sure.
And so the thing about bad band directors is you got to frame it in the context. If your kid has a bad math teacher, they still have to take math next year, right?
Yes, they do, as a matter of fact.
Bad English teacher, they still got to take English next year. Bad science teacher, they still got to take science next year, right?
Right, absolutely.
You have a bad music teacher, you quit making music for the rest of your life.
God, and when we talk about all the benefits of what this does for our kid, that's such a waste that occurs, that would even happen.
It is. And let's be clear, even a great director is going to have kids that don't like him. I mean, I'm sure, and you'd struggle to find him, but I'm sure there are kids out there that didn't love Mr. Lang as their band director.
What?
You think so?
I don't. I really me too.
I can't imagine.
The thing is, so even if I was a good teacher, and I'd like to think I was, there were kids that didn't like me.
Okay.
So even if you're a good teacher, you can still have a bad experience. But that's not what we're talking about today.
Okay.
We're talking about teachers that are legitimately bad.
Bad teachers. Okay.
And, before I give you an idea, I want to tell you a little bit of story. So my older son, I've waited my entire life for my kids to be in band.
Yeah.
When they were just little babies, I was like, you're out of step. I mean, so get your crap together, kid. Get your dinkles.
First step, and you're like, you're out of time, kid.
Well,
oh my God.
There's got to be standards, Chris.
I mean, I guess you're not wrong.
So my son got to high school, and he had a teacher that was just categorically bad. He was instructionally bad. He was organizationally bad.
Okay.
And we're talking, if you're listening, you have to understand, I'm sure, and Miles would attest to it, our current band director, I'm no easy band parent.
Okay.
Like, it just comes with the territory. And I've had band parents that were band directors, and it's a lot of pressure because it's a set of ears and eyes on you, and you feel like they're judging you. And I probably am at some level. I have no idea. But we're talking, Chris, so bad they went to contest on the wrong week. No!
Ooh, wait, what?
We're talking so bad. They showed up to rehearse at places, and he had never secured it as a rehearsal facility, so it was dead bolted.
How did they expect those things to occur?
We're talking about so bad, Chris. Chris, you're supposed to say, how bad was it? We're talking about bad.
How bad was it?
It was so bad, Chris, that they showed up for Allstate and they didn't have hotel rooms.
Shut the front door.
It was so bad, Chris.
So what's interesting is you're now saying there's multiple instances of this. So
yeah,
not only is this person bad for poor planning, but for not learning their lesson the first time and having this happen over and over and over again.
And your daughter's at this point he was so bad. He told the kids the wrong day to audition for All-State On, so they didn't get to audition after they prepped for weeks on it.
Man, yeah, we're going through that cycle right now. All-State auditions are next week or whatever. But yeah, my daughter was a part of the All-State, jazz concert.
Can you imagine if she missed it?
So because my daughter doesn't do any type of winter season or anything, that's like her life right now. That was like her biggest objective. I would lose my mind if that happened to my daughter.
And the parents did. And the state organization honestly did the right thing. They said, sorry. The judge has gone home. We can't bring him back because your band director made a mistake. We can't recalculate the scores.
No, it's not their fault. Yeah.
So there are bad band directors out there.
Yeah.
And I think you also have to understand that every band director, no matter how good they are, was bad at one point. As a first-year teacher, you're not pedagogically sound.
Okay.
As a first-year teacher, you're not organized.
Right.
As a first-year teacher, you don't have all the subtleties of building relationships with kids. So
okay, that's fair.
Everyone goes through it. So when we talk about a bad teacher, you got to kind of categorize your mind. And, step one is, are they bad because they're new?
Okay.
The second one is, are they bad at an instructional / organizational level? Meaning, they didn't requisition the bus, but they're a good human being. They forgot to requisition air conditioning the building, and there's a rehearsal, but when they taught, they're pretty solid.
I see.
And then there's just teachers who are just bad for kids. And so as someone who, like I've always said, be a band booster, lift the band director up.
Right. Sure.
I had a real cognitive disconnect and real cognitive dissonance about what do I do about this?
Yeah.
My job is to back band directors up.
Right.
And I want to take this guy out for a walk.
Gotcha.
And my final straw was we woke up one morning at 6:30 in the morning, and he had always been a bully on social media to the parents. He'd just been mean. The parents, why don't you read what I write? No, you wrote it wrong. Please reread it.
What?
Oh, yeah, it was bad.
Oh, my goodness.
And I screenshot everything. I saved everything. And I woke up one morning, and this was the text he had sent to the entire channel of the program, parents and kids.
Okay.
Student X, Y, and Z named 3 students by name and said, I'm sick and tired of you not getting your paperwork in for All-State. So get it in or you're not going. Just a reminder, the deadline's tomorrow. He bullied the entire channel. He named the 3 kids and they hadn't missed the deadline yet.
Interesting.
And I was like, we're done.
That's enough.
We're
Jeez,
done.
Man.
You treat kids like that, we're going toe to toe.
I mean, based on everything you said, I'll give you credit for being patient until that point. I mean, there was plenty of other reasons. I mean, yeah.
So I'll tell you what happens a little bit down the road when we talk about what should a parent do. But there are levels of bad, whether it's an instructor or whether it's a band director. And I think when you look at the 3 levels, one being level 1 is lack of experience. You just got to be patient. Level 2 is lack of skill sets. And you want to intervene, you want to assist, you want to help them see how they can be better, whatever those things are. But when they're bad for kids, that's the line where you have to get involved.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I could see that.
And, I also want you to consider, and I did consider, that maybe he's bad for your kid because your kid's a bad kid.
Yeah.
And, that this whole my child's a savant is something you have to reckon with as a parent of, can I be objective or am I looking through my child's goggles?
I think that's a difficult balance for a parent just in general, because I think we think too when we were teenagers and maybe some of the ways we behaved, etc. And you almost want to give the teacher the benefit of the doubt in almost every scenario, almost every case. You want to say, my kid's kind of probably the one causing the problem.
Okay, but what do you think, listeners at home and in your cars and wherever you are right now, what do you think the percentage today of parents is that think it's their child's fault first before they think it's the teacher's fault? And listeners, before Chris gives his answer, I want you to come up with your number. What's the percentage of parents who assume it was their child's fault first? Go. I have a number in my head.
Yeah. So by default, I'm going to say probably like 70%. That's what I think. And the only reason I'm giving, I would say a little bit higher, but I think some of the kids that are maybe more experienced, some of the upperclassmen, the parents have enough experience with the program, et cetera. They probably know, what they can get away with, what they can't. So I'm going to say 70% because I still think on the higher end. So I could just think of examples of something as simple as maybe your kid wasn't being bad per se, but the kid says, oh, the band director was so mean to me today or whatever. It could be as simple as you think your kid's being dramatic. they were embarrassed
They're
in front of
overstating it.
Correct. So even if it's just an overemphasis or, kind of mistelling of a story, that's all falls into this for me. So that's, I don't know, I say 70%.
I like your number. I was going to say 65 to 70%. And then I started thinking about it and I would qualify it. If it's the first child, it's probably 50%.
Okay.
Because it's your first schmoopaloo. And they're perfect. They're just awesome sauce.
Yeah, maybe.
It's your third kid. You're like, yeah, whatever it is, it's not the director's fault. It's his fault. Just blame him. I told my band director, I said, listen, if you got to tase my kid, do what you got to do. No judgment here.
Then there you go.
Because I know the kid's a knucklehead. He's my second kid. I know he's trouble.
There you go. Think you signed a waiver for that? You put that on file?
What do you think I gave him
with
for
the nurse's office?
What do you think I gave him for a Christmas present? A mace cannon and a taser kit.
Good.
Nothing says love quite like a taser.
Anybody
crazy.
needs some gift ideas.
So I think that's the first thing.
Okay.
Is if you're in a situation and it's not a repetitive situation. In other words, you haven't seen the same mistake by the teacher made over and over and over.
Right.
You have to ask yourself the three questions. Number one, is it just an experience that he or she made that mistake? Number two, is it he or she lacks a skill set? Or number three, is it unhealthy for kids? And so I would say I would probably agree with your number, 70%. Listeners, I don't know what your number is, but I would say 70%, especially of experienced parents, would say it's my kid first.
Right.
It's my kid first.
Right.
But let's skip level one because you're going to grow out of that. And parents, if you've heard us talk on the podcast, we say it takes 5 to 7 years to become a teacher.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like you get to practice on anyone. Student teaching, you make copies. That's all you do.
Right.
So you got to grow into the job. And it's not like, there's on the job training to be the CEO of a band organization. So we're going to set level one aside. But let's look at level two. Let's say, what do you do, Chris? Because you were in management. You did employee reviews.
Yeah.
What do you do with an employee who is bad at managing a calendar? What do you do with an employee who struggles with communication? What do you do with an employee who doesn't track their receipts the way they're supposed to or upload them to your banking website? What do you do with an employee who doesn't seem the ability to manage their inventory or their equipment?
Sure.
What do you do outside of education?
Well, so I would say that you'd be surprised how often sometimes those behaviors are truly a lack of awareness, to be honest with you. So the way I see something or the way I perceive your work may not be the same that you perceive the way you do your work. It's that simple. So
that's a good point.
So a lot of it is just perception and awareness. So literally the first step is, hey, I'm seeing this. Hey, I'm noticing that, there are often times where we need to accomplish this at this point in time, but for some reason we're not getting there.
Okay. So I'm your band director and I'm struggling with communication. I'm just going to pick a skill set that probably most parents complain about. Number one is communication.
Yeah.
How do your kid misses a rehearsal because they didn't know about a rehearsal, or it gets added, the kid knows about it, but you didn't, you planned a vacation. Like, how do you approach me? Because it's unlike the private sector. It's not a subordinate superior role.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it. I was telling my boss, they were talking about business to consumer. And then they talked about business to business. And I said, yeah, but there's a third one. It's business to school. That's a different relationship than business to business.
Gotcha.
So how do you deal with that, Chris?
I guess it depends, Scott. If we're talking about like the first instance, for example, you've said this before on our podcast. And then if anybody listened to a couple of really good episodes we posted recently from the band moms, we had a band director's wife basically say, hey, always assume good intent. Like always assume that
absolutely,
like there's never anything, ill intent that's happening. Sometimes there's just so much going on, and you just said it yourself. And she said it as well, is sometimes, you wish you could go back to school just to learn all the things that it takes to do this job. Yeah. Right. So I would go to it, not necessarily accusatory, but more of, again, just general awareness to say, hey, so again, this is important that I make sure that my kid is where they need to go. They're committed and they want to make sure that they're delivering on what you're asking of them. So I have to make sure that message about this rehearsal and this time gets delivered in a way that not only they see it, but I see it as well. Because
do you step in and do you offer to take over the calendar? Is that overreach?
I think
and insert inventory, insert finances, sure, whatever the skill set is. Because let me ask you this. Do you believe some people are just bad at some things, and they will probably always be bad at some things?
Yes. And yeah, absolutely. And
what's something you're bad at?
What's something I'm bad at? Geez, what am I bad at? I mean, I can't sing. I can't sing very well. I don't have much of a voice.
Your wife could come up with something.
I don't have much of a voice.
Immediately.
Yeah.
I know my wife would have like a a 5-point list.
So my wife would, well, again, to me, but to me, it's perception. I don't think I'm bad at things, but my wife would tell you that maybe my awareness is not the same as her when it comes to things that are important to her or she notices. It could be things around the house. I'm just saying, but that's just something, that I'm probably not good at. But this was also talked about again from the band moms. We had band mom Becky say, it's difficult to go complain about a situation without providing some sort of solution.
Well, for sure.
Which I think is a good point, right? So again, if it's the first instance, do I offer to take over the calendar? Maybe, but not in a pushy way. Be like, do you need assistance?
No, absolutely.
Do you need assistance? Like, are we at the point where there's so much going on in your program that you can use an extra set of hands, et cetera, et cetera? So, but me in the way that I operate, that's probably not a function I want to take over. So again, it's probably more either awareness or, and I'll tell you what, I would go one further, Scott, just because, again, we've talked about how much goes on in these programs. And because I don't want to assume ill intent, I would really do my diligence before I even approach the band director to make sure that it truly looks as it seems. Not maybe talk to other parents and say, hey, did you guys see? Like, I want to make sure it wasn't just me. Maybe I truly missed something. I don't want to assume that the band director, again, just messed it up. I want to make sure that, again, I missed the communication, I missed whatever, and I might do that with some of my peers before I even take the time to go to the band director and accuse them or say to them, hey, this didn't get done the way I expected.
What is it? Okay, so we talked about, there's so much good there. First of all, I want to start by saying, I used to tell my parents at the first meeting every year of, if I make a mistake, know that it came from a good place.
Right.
I'm going to make them, but it was never to screw your child or to do something wrong or to hurt them. It's just, I didn't see it. I didn't read the situation right. I read it right, but the wrong thing came out of my mouth. I shouldn't have done it, whatever it is. So I think that's a really important point for parents to hear.
Right.
The second thing is, I think you make a good point of, is it the first time and are you coming to it from a place of full understanding?
Right.
And one of the things I used to say to my parents, listen, I don't tell you how to run your dry cleaning business.
Exactly.
Because I don't know the first thing about running a dry cleaning business.
Exactly.
And being a band director is a profession, just like everything else.
Right.
At what point do you feel like, or what skill set, or what is the line where you say, okay, this is just a quirk you have and I have to accept it as I'm part of the program.
Sure.
You're not a good communicator. That's just not who you are.
Right.
You're not, whatever it is,
Right.
whatever that skill set is.
Right.
At what point do you just have to say, listen, he's not hurting kids. She's not bad with kids. I have to accept this deficiency, versus at what point do you have to go, no, I got to say something.
Gotcha. So when you talk about hurting kids, so I guess the core of,
And that's an obvious draw point. I'm talking, where's the gray line of, hey, this guy's just not good at X. It is what it is. Versus, I got to go in and talk to him or her.
Yeah.
This is not okay.
Right.
But it's not hurting kids. It's just, this is not okay.
I would tell you, I think in my mind, because I do think, I'm somebody who supports, again, boosters stepping up and offering their skill sets to support the program and the different things they're good at. I'd probably give that person a lot of grace, honestly, all the way down to what I feel like is the core function of their job itself, which is to teach the kids. Like, honestly, like on anything outside of that, you'd probably get some grace from me to at least offer some additional solution or maybe find some help within the boosters to complete additional tasks. But if it's standing in front of the kids, spending time teaching them and investing in their development, that's really what's most important to me. So that, to me, if you're accomplishing that, I feel like we can help supplement some of the rest of the stuff for you. But
would you, let me ask you this. Let's be honest. I mean, and I don't disagree with you. And I was thinking about, what's the percentage of band directors who are bad at diagnosing a band?
Right.
Because it's an incredibly complex thing. I was in rehearsal today and I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound right. Are the flute sharp? Is the trumpet flat? Wait, is the tone? Wait. And I'm literally looking going, crap, the bass drum's right up against a brick wall. It probably won't be that loud on stage.
Like that.
I should probably.
Yeah.
So it's a moving target, but I was literally thinking of okay, what's that percentage of band directors or choir teachers that aren't good at that skill set? But then immediately went in my mind is, would you even know, Chris?
No, you're honestly no, I wouldn't. I'm not educated enough to.
I mean,
to be able to.
my principal walked in, and never once did he make a comment about my instructional strategy with the band. It was either
That's a good point.
classroom management, program management.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Paperwork, whatever that was more obvious and forward facing to him.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know how to critique whether I was a good teacher in terms of the actual music part of it.
Yeah.
But how much grace and space do you, we'll call it a quirk, a deficiency. So I would tell you, especially early in my career, it wasn't until even more recently that I became much more detail oriented about my writing, like double checking it, grammar, punctuation, formatting. I would tell you the first 5 years I taught, I put stuff out there, whether it's a band handbook or whether it was we didn't have email when I first started, a typed letter.
Yeah.
And it wasn't at a standard that I would want today.
That makes sense.
At what point do you just say, okay, that's just who that person is versus I think I really got to go in and say something. So we'll talk about calendaring.
Okay.
I'm just picking a random subject, folks.
Sure. Okay.
Some people just aren't good at maintaining a calendar. Like, you know what our calendar is? It's whatever my wife says it is. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I don't check it.
I
I'm
get
not
that.
interested in it.
Sure.
At what point do you just say, well, I forgot to submit that paperwork so we'd have the field today or whatever it is. It is what it is. He's quirky versus, no, this is bullcrap.
So, well, again, I don't know, because to me, not securing the space you need to rehearse does affect your job
fair
teaching
point.
the kids.
Yeah, fair point.
So there are,
But would you go in over that?
again, it depends if it's recurring. Again, you'll get if it's I'm one of those, you'll get grace from me if it's just a one-time thing, you know, during a time of year that's very, very busy, maybe something got overlooked. Like, I'm okay. You're human. I'm human. Again, we do make mistakes.
Would your grace be different for a middle school teacher who carries less of a burden? And that's not a criticism of middle school teachers, but I'm sorry, you're not requisitioning 45 buses every year.
Sure.
You're not managing a semi. You're not controlling uniforms. Would your grace and space change with the size and scope of responsibility?
I mean, potentially, yes. But yeah, absolutely. Because in my head, I'm asking, well, what are you doing? Right? Like, what are you doing that caused you to miss
ask me
this?
that every day.
So
What is Scott doing
what are you
today?
doing? That's the question I would ask in my head. And if I answer, preparing my group for, you know, upcoming festivals, concerts, a field trip, and we're running winter teams and like a whole list of things, like, okay, I can see how this could occur.
Your litmus test, if I'm hearing you correctly, is does it impact the kids?
Yes.
And the frequency of the misstep.
Correct.
So if it's a redundant misstep or it's impacting kids, that's where you would want. And when we're talking about level 2, where it's a deficiency, but it's not hurting kids.
Right.
That's a pretty good litmus bar, Chris.
I mean, in my opinion, only because I think that as of the second time it happens, I have a couple of options at that point, which is I can just continue to hammer on that person and expect things of them that are just not going to happen. Or again, as a parent, I could say, hey, parents and boosters, this is an opportunity for our program. Where can we step in and help? Right. Or if I think they're helpless, then I have to decide if, you know, I don't think that they can correct those behaviors, and then I have to decide if I want to be involved in the program.
And to be clear, because we know a lot of our listeners are teachers, we're talking about, okay, here you go. What do you think the percentage is of music teachers that are not good at their job?
Actually, I'm going to take one step back. That's a good question. I'm going to take one step back too. You know what else would be a kind of a litmus test for me is how they respond emotionally to the error themselves. How about that? Meaning that if it seems like they could care less that they made the mistake and, hey, it's whatever, I screwed up, but I don't care, then that might sit a little differently with me. Then again, I can think of my current director right now, maybe making such a mistake, and I know he would beat himself up emotionally. That's what I'm saying.
So we're going to call this the Flynn rubric.
There you go.
I like it. It's the Flynn brick.
It's kind of it's the director's emotional response to the mistake.
So number 1 is frequency, redundancy.
Sure.
Number 2 is, does it impact kids?
Yes.
And number 3 is, how do they respond when the mistake occurs?
What's their response to the mistake? Yeah.
I like that, Chris. You should trademark that.
Okay.
The Flynnerific rubric.
Okay. Hopefully I remember to do that before we publish this episode. So
we've got merch. We can certainly trademark
Australia,
something.
please don't steal that from me.
James Kukulius.
Yes, please don't steal that from me.
Okay, so
you said what percentage do I think are bad?
What percentage of teachers?
At being teachers or at being band directors as a whole?
Band directors as a whole.
Oh, man. I don't want to upset band directors. I do love them and all they do. But I want to be realistic too. How about 30%?
Wow.
You think that's high?
I think that's high. Band directors, if you're listening,
shoot.
Chris Flynn is on your naughty list
but maybe I'm thinking of band directors who are like also the PE teachers and certain places.
So here's
stuff like that.
What I was going to say is, I think in general, the percentage of bad anything is consistent regardless of the profession. I think it's the same percentage as people who are bad trash collectors or bad.
Exactly. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
But the difference between being a bad music teacher and being a bad trash collector is you're going to get self-selected out pretty quick.
Okay.
Because you're either going to be miserable, the parents are going to run you out of town, or the principal is going to get rid of you. Versus other professions where you would just, the Peter principle, you just stay at that level.
Yeah, I got you.
And so I do think I would probably say 15%.
Okay.
But I think the other 15% self-selected out at some point of the journey.
Just to be clear, that 30% are not people that listen to this podcast.
No,
Just,
100%. No, because these
if you
people
listen
care.
to us, right? Exactly.
But you understand. Like a lot of people go out and get a music degree, and they go teach 2 years and go, "This is not for me."
Well, sure.
So they self-select out. It
Right.
wasn't that they're a bad person.
Right.
It's they did a job. I was an administrator. I wasn't a bad administrator, but I self-selected out because it made me feel bad.
Yeah. Understood.
So I want to get to the smallest percentage, which is, and I'll ask you as a percentage of this: teachers who are level 3, they're not good for kids.
Gotcha.
In a physical, emotional, student management way. They make choices that are not helpful or could be harmful to kids. What's that number?
I mean, the way you just broke down self-selection and people like that working themselves out of their job. It makes me want to say a lower number, but since I said 30% for the last one, I'll stay higher, probably in the maybe 10%.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say 5 or below.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that is a gray area of what you consider harmful for kids.
Correct.
And understand this, folks. I grew up in an area where you threw things at kids when they play a wrong note.
Right. So that definition of what's bad for kids, I guess, is subjective in itself.
I want to be clear. I never threw anything at a child, but that's the era I grew up in.
Right.
And now that would get you put in jail. Back then it was called classroom management.
Right.
Right? I mean,
absolutely.
I broke more than a few batons in my day.
There you go.
I don't think I would ever break one again, but back 25 years ago, when I got my first job, I looked up and there was a fan in the ceiling, and I asked the janitor who'd been there forever. I said, "What's that?" And he said, "It's a smoker's fan." And he used to keep a bottle of bourbon in his bottom right-hand drawer. And that was pretty common.
Yeah.
And now I would call that definitely harmful. You reported immediately to administrator.
100%. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I want to talk about that third level.
Okay.
And at which point you have to intervene.
Yeah.
And for me, it's when it's harmful for kids. When I decided, and I'll never forget, because I woke up and my wife looked at me and she goes, "Did you see the text from our director this morning?" I said, "No." And I read it and I said, "Bullying a kid is never going to be okay with me.
Right.
And I'm going to take care of this."
That's fair.
And so what I would tell you, and I'll tell you about the process that I went through, and you can glean from it what you want. I documented everything. I reached out. In fact, I followed the Flynn rubric. I wrote down every single thing. I screenshot Facebook posts where he bullied parents. I screenshot bad calendar dates. I documented things like showing up and not having a bus or whatever. It was 7 pages long, Chris.
Dang.
And my son was only in band 1 year.
Dang.
Then what I did is I reached out to all the other directors in there and I documented some things. I said, "What is your staff to student ratio? When do you do X, Y, or Z?
Smart.
What is your budget?" Because he was lying. He was telling all the parents, "We don't have the money." And our band boosters had over $100,000 in their account.
Oh my goodness.
He was telling us, "I can't hire staff." He did everything. And I said, "Why not?" "Well, the district won't allow it." So I reached out to the 6 directors in the district and said, "Do you hire staff?"
Right.
"Yes." I documented so the very first thing, I documented everything.
That's really smart. Yeah.
Everything that he did wrong, but then everything everyone else was doing that he wasn't being truthful about. So when he said, "Well, we can't hire staff," I said, "Well, here's the app the district used to hire staff. Here's the staff ratio at every other school. Here's your staff ratio. Here's the student count at every other school. Here's your student count." That was the first thing I did. The second thing I did was, after I felt like I had accumulated what was incontrovertible data that showed he was unhealthy for kids.
Yeah.
I asked to meet with him privately. And he brought the assistant director, and I told him that was his choice, but I told him what I was going to talk to him about.
Okay.
And I laid out everything. I just put it right in front of him. And I said, "This is data. You have 2 choices here. You need to address these and correct these,
Right.
or I'm going to take it above your head.
Right.
But I don't want to go above your head, and I'm not going around your back. I'm laying it out in front of you, to your face. I am telling you to your face what I perceive your issues to be. And I'm telling you, you need to either tell me why I'm wrong or correct them. And I will help you correct them.
Gotcha.
I'm skilled in this space.
Right.
I will run your staffing. I will run your books. I will whatever it is. You either fix it or you give me no choice, because
Gotcha.
I will not be a party to this situation. I will not be a party to you treating kids this way.
I give you a lot of credit for being what I would say is incredibly respectful in a situation like that, where you had so many instances and reasons not to be.
And I'm not giving you but 20% of the things he did.
Yeah, no, I give you a lot of credit because I think that if and parents, you can write in and tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of parents would absolutely not give that person that grace and probably just go right to the principal and ask for a meeting with the administration.
Too long because of my profession.
Okay.
And I didn't want that person to go out to the whole world and say, well, he says he loves band directors, but look what he's doing to me.
I see.
So I laid it all out. I documented everything. That was step one. So you have your 3 steps. The second step was I said, okay, you have to address these issues.
Right.
Or I'm going to go above you, but I will not go around you. I want to do it to your face. And then third thing I said was, I'm going to give you some time to think about this. And then I want you to come back to me. And if you want to fix it, I'll help you. If you want to fix it without my help, then fix it without my help.
Okay.
I don't need to be inserted into your world.
Gotcha.
And he said, I really want to fix this. Help me fix it. Help me with my staff. Help me, get everything and all the corrective actions. And I thought, okay, I don't think he's going to do it, but okay. I'm glad he made that choice.
It could turn into a nice redemption story, a nice little arc there. Everybody can feel good about the outcome,
But we know that's not where this story's going, don't we, Chris?
I assume not.
Because we've shown this person has no desire to be better at anything or improve at anything.
So it's just lip service at the end of the day?
He emailed me Monday. This was a Saturday morning meeting. I took him to breakfast at IHOP. And on Monday, he sent me an email basically saying I was wrong about everything. And
what?
He has decided that he will move forward and not take those corrective actions.
What the heck?
It was a lengthy email, as he was wont to do. And I just responded with, I've told you what the next pathway choice is.
Okay, sure.
And I went and met with the principal, my wife and I.
Yeah.
And I went through page by page, point by point, the 7 pages. I showed him every screenshot of every Facebook thing that he wrote. I showed him handbooks where he said things that weren't in accordance with district policy. I documented every lie.
Oof. Yeah.
And they still kept him for almost 2 years.
Okay.
Before they fired him.
So in that instance, then maybe this is where you could give some color to. I know when I worked in the corporate environment as a leader, there are certain steps, right? There's progressions, escalations. There's things that you have to accomplish in order to release someone from employment, right? So you've got this full case. You've got all these instances. What does it look like for a teacher?
It's a great question.
And how does that happen?
So there's 2 ways you can do it. And believe it or not, in Arizona, it's a right to work state.
Yeah.
Now, which means they can terminate you for any reason at any time.
Whatever they want, yeah.
But education is not that culture. That's not what they do.
Absolutely.
They want to educate you to be better and be better. But even if you're in a union state, here's the way it looks. You have to document. I bet it's the same as corporate America. You have to document it. You're doing this incorrectly.
Right.
You have to give them an improvement plan.
Okay. Yep.
You have to give them 90 days to meet that improvement plan.
Okay.
Then you have to meet a second time
Right.
and say, you have failed to meet the expectation of the improvement plan. I am putting you on termination warning.
Gotcha.
Then you have to give them, I believe it's another 30 days to
Yep.
address and raise the bar on whatever that issue is.
Gotcha.
And if you have 10 issues, you have to document all 10.
Yep.
And then at the end of that, you can terminate them.
Gotcha.
So it is more tedious than walking in the door and saying you're fired.
Sure.
But in Arizona, you can do that.
Gotcha.
In Arizona, you can. In most of the states west of the Mississippi, you can terminate an employee for any reason at any time.
Sure.
It's a right to work state.
Sure.
There's an easier path if you're an administrator. And I laid it out in the principal at the time. And I would say, in my opinion, this principal chose, it was failed leadership. He could have gotten rid of him for any reason, but he didn't.
Right.
And he waited 2 years, which impacted 2 more years of kids. But he said to me, well, we have protocols and procedures. And I looked at him, I said, all you have to do is take away his title of director of bands and make him the assistant to the first year teacher. His ego will let him quit.
That's
all
a good
you
point.
have to do is give him 5 guitar classes. I promise you, he will quit.
Interesting.
All you have to do is, take away whatever his prep hour is no longer during that period that he wants. All you have to do, you just make it uncomfortable enough. You say, I don't want you here. Let me make it so you don't want to be here. That expedites the process real quick.
Okay.
And
yeah,
that's eventually how they got rid of him.
Okay.
But they could have done it much sooner.
Gotcha.
I mean, he was so driven by his own ego. All they had to do was strip the title and give it to his first year assistant and say, you're now the assistant. You're going to teach all the classes that no one wants to teach. And you're going to have 3 study halls. He would have quit within an hour.
Gotcha. And from your perspective, because and I'm going to guess you've probably seen, this is maybe a broader topic, but it applies to teachers. Is there other reasons why sometimes that doesn't occur? We could chalk it up to culture, but is there other reasons why maybe parents should be aware why they feel like they've got something that's very, very direct and should have a cause that occurs as a result, But there's other things to know, whether it's politically, whether it's ego, whatever, that may delay those decisions from happening.
There are, but I don't know that when we're talking about student health and safety, I don't know that's justification.
Okay.
In overt cases where someone is physically harmed, an administrator will they're required by law to report it to the police instantly.
Right.
But in less overt cases, like the bullying on the communication channel, that is likely something that an administrator will seek a corrective action on versus a termination. And I think most administrators will probably take your approach, which is what's the frequency of the infraction? How did they respond to the infraction?
Gotcha.
And is it impeding in student development and safety?
See, but in the other side of that, I'm thinking like maybe some of the things I have in corporate America, if I'm talking about like maybe an employee and treating another employee inappropriately, things like that, like the first thing I do is probably go through that system of record, because man, if that guy was willing to bully kids publicly like that, privately, what was he doing?
Oh,
like,
100%.
That's what I mean. Like, so some of these channels should be open enough that an administrator could go in and be like, okay, let me see how bad this actually is. Anyway, I don't know if they have the time to do that.
And I think a lot of it is just the tolerance of that administrator, whether they're willing to get into an uncomfortable situation. Because it's going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It wasn't comfortable for me to sit down with the director with 18 pages, screenshots, and say, this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy that.
Yeah.
I'm sure he didn't enjoy it. But when it crosses a line of student health and safety, and we're talking about mental health, emotional health, then someone has to be the adult in the room.
For sure. Yeah.
And, that's an administrator, why they get paid, is to be the adult in the room when the teacher acts like a child.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
we don't want to spend too much on this, but I do think Chris's 3 points and my 3 points are worth considering as your parent, which is number one, there's 3 levels of being bad. Are you bad because you're first a young teacher?
Right.
Level 2 is, are you bad because you are just deficient in a skill set? And level 3 is, are you bad and it's hurting kids?
Right.
And then Chris, your scale, which is it a repetitive offense? Correct. Is it impeding instruction?
Right.
And what is their response when you bring it up?
Correct.
And then the 3 levels that I brought up is, once you've crossed that line, is, are you documenting it?
Yeah.
Did you tell them to their face?
Right.
And offer to be a part of the solution?
Right.
And then 3, did you tell them what would happen if it wasn't resolved in a satisfactory manner?
Yeah, I think that's all very fair.
We know it doesn't happen very often. And, everyone has a bad day.
Right.
And everyone has a deficiency.
Right. But parents, but we've also talked about this before. Please don't misconstrue any of this conversation to mean that there are decisions that your band director will make that you don't like. That's going to happen. That's okay. That doesn't mean they're a bad band director, right? And again, it's stuff that we've talked about multiple times. Like maybe you don't agree with either what they've put on the calendar or the trips that they're taking, or I don't know,
the cost, or
the music, the show, anything. We're there to support that person's direction and vision in that way. So please don't, just because you don't like some of the things they do, that's not the same.
And what even my own self, I know what the job is, but I'll wonder, why did X director do that? And then we'll be chatting. They're like, oh yeah, well the dance teacher had to do this, and I doubled.
Yeah, there's so much that you don't know. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's so many moving parts.
Yeah. And so you got to come to it from a place of wanting to understand.
Absolutely.
But in the end, you got to stick up for your child, and that's your job as a parent. But remember, all the bad decisions you made as a parent and you wish you could do over again, well, they're doing it times 150.
Right. Which absolutely is correct. And I think that's why if your kid brings to you an example of something that, you feel is maybe inappropriate, my best advice would be to at least talk through the scenario. How did it happen? Where did it happen? What was the outcome? Those types of things.
And what were the choices those children made?
Correct. Because I think if you have an appropriate conversation and actually talk to your kid about this stuff, I think you can get to probably the correct outcome of whose fault was it. Did it happen because the band director was having a bad day and didn't want to deal with your kid, or was your kid being a punk?
If your band director's right 99 times out of 100 and you're on the fence on the 100th one, I would tip it in their favor because they have a track record of success.
Give them the
so
grace,
think about the 9 steps are they just young and inexperienced? Are they deficient in something because it's who they are? And step 3 is, are they hurting kids? Then Chris's rubric I thought was brilliant.
Hey, thanks.
Which is, it's second time you've been brilliant on this podcast.
Hey, second time in 50 episodes. Not bad.
Chris's, which is it a repetitive behavior? Is it impacting kids? And how do they respond when you bring it up?
Yeah.
And then the third and final one, which is you have to document everything that you're going to talk about. It can't be emotive-based. You got to say it to their face as uncomfortable it is, and you got to tell them what's going to happen if they don't correct it. And then you can follow through and let the administration handle it, because ultimately That's their job. But we want to hear your bad band director story.
Yeah, no, that's all good. It's all good feedback, folks. And I think Scott's right. In the last thing, here's what I will tell you. Let me put back, I haven't said this word for a while. Let me put my data analyst hat back on for a minute. The last thing that you really ever want to do is make decisions based on things that are anecdotal.
Absolutely.
You just don't want to do that. It needs to be fact-based. You need to, like we talk about data, you need to have the data. It needs to be fact-based. So when Scott's talking about really make sure you're tracking those things, write them down with screenshots, whatever it is, because he say, she say, the anecdotal stuff really just usually leads to poor outcomes. So again, please just don't base your decision based.
And it's hard when it's your kid.
100%.
So if we want to hear their bad band director story or any other story, we've been getting a slew of emails lately.
I want to hear your stories. Don't just, and you can just not write to me if you want. You can record yourself on your phone, talk to your phone, tell us the story verbally, and we'll listen back to it. But
and don't use names.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and don't use your high school name if you're going to give us a bad band story.
Wait, that'll be more fun for you and I. I can bleep it out. Like you and I, they can use names so we can know.
So we can like do a Google deep dive on them.
Oh, so we can be on the gossip.
Okay, totally use names.
So include us in the gossip.
Schools.
Absolutely, and I'll just bleep it out for the rest of everybody.
And if you got photos, we'll take them.
I mean, if you're documenting, you might have some of those too. Folks, the best way to get a hold of us and have a conversation is our email, which is feedback@banddadspodcast.com. Shoot us comments, shoot us notes, send us examples, send us audio. I don't really care. It's more fun. We love to go through those things. We do our best to respond as quickly as possible. Everybody gets a response.
Yes.
We do respond and engage in conversation, which ultimately leads to some pretty interesting things sometimes. So we'd love to hear from you there. We are available on social media as well. So you can follow us on TikTok. The Band Dads Pod is us on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We have a Facebook group. And Facebook is a place that we're really trying to, how do I say this? I want to make sure we find the right crowd. So if you're not with us on Facebook, come join us.
Okay. Wow. We listen to that back. We want to make sure we're getting the right people.
Yeah.
I mean, like, whoa.
Here's what
cancel culture.
No, sorry.
What do you mean by right people, Chris?
Well, sorry. There's a lot of people on Facebook who I think are not people, if that makes any sense.
Toxic is what they are.
There's toxicity. Yeah, there is. Facebook is a very, seems to be a platform that still has a lot of, it thrives on adversity. I think is the best way to say
clickbait.
It. Yeah.
And we've both seen it, the clickbait. We don't want to be clickbait people. We're looking for, when he says the right people want to have real conversations about real things.
Honest, good community.
And tell us how wonderful we are.
Well, that doesn't hurt.
And how handsome I am.
We're getting into clickbait. Yeah. I think you just crossed the line right there. But anyway, come join us on all these different places. We'd love to hear from you. We love to engage with you. We hope that you gained something from this conversation. If you're dealing with this situation right now and need advice, reach out.
Yeah.
Reach out to us.
If you need to yell at someone, come call me.
Confrontation is not an easy thing to accomplish for a lot of people. So if you just need some advice and some guidance on how to be tactical, that's something I think we could both offer some good response on.
Absolutely. And from two very different perspectives. So having said that, I'm Scott Lang.
Chris Flynn.
And we're the
Band Dads. Thanks, folks. We'll see you next time.
Band Dads on 3! 1, 2, 3, Band Dads!
The Band Dads are a proud partner of Booster Hub. Simplify your Booster Club's management with Booster Hub's all-in-one tools. Find out more and get your free trial started by visiting boosterhub.com. The Band Dads podcast is a 5 Deuce Media production. For more information, please visit 5deucemedia.com. For more information on Scott Lang leadership and solutions for music education, please visit scottlang.net.